I want to start with a simple, yet profound idea. Nothing in life happens by accident. Every person we meet, every challenge we face, and yes, even the difficult people in our lives serve a purpose. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Why on earth would a loving, intentional God place me in the life of a narcissist? Why would he allow me to endure manipulation, selfishness, and emotional exhaustion? But what if I told you that you're not there to suffer? You're there to serve? Not to be a victim, but to be a lesson, a light, a catalyst for change. What if your presence in their life is not a punishment, but an assignment? Today, I want to challenge the way we see these difficult relationships. Because when we shift our perspective from frustration to purpose, from pain to growth, everything changes. And that's where true impact begins. Life often places us in situations that challenge us, stretch us, and make us question why certain people are part of our journey. When faced with a narcissist, the natural instinct is to ask, why me? It can feel unfair, draining, and even disheartening. But what if the presence of a narcissist in your life isn't about suffering, but about purpose? What if you are not there by accident, but by divine design? A narcissist operates from a place of deep insecurity, masked by arrogance, control, and manipulation. They crave validation, yet they struggle to offer genuine love. They appear confident, yet their sense of self depends entirely on external admiration. Their relationships are often transactional, driven by what they can extract rather than what they can give. When you encounter someone like this, it is easy to feel frustrated, used, or even defeated. But stepping back and looking at the bigger picture, you begin to see that God places people in our lives not just for our sake, but for theirs as well. Your presence in the life of a narcissist may serve a higher purpose, one that goes beyond immediate understanding. You might be there to reflect something they have never seen before. True empathy, genuine love, or unwavering integrity. Many narcissists have spent their lives in relationships built on conditional acceptance, where love was either earned or withheld. They may have been raised in environments that taught them to manipulate for survival, to control to avoid vulnerability, or to seek admiration as a means of self-worth. When you show up with authenticity, with patience, with a heart that does not operate on transactions, you disrupt their pattern. Being in a narcissist's life doesn't mean tolerating mistreatment or allowing yourself to be diminished. It means understanding that your role may be to model something they are unfamiliar with. You may be the first person who sets boundaries not out of resentment, but out of self-respect. You may be the first person who offers love without expecting them to perform. They challenge your patience, test your limits, and sometimes push you to question your own worth. But what if the real challenge is not surviving them, but growing through them? What if the real lesson is about learning how to love without losing yourself? Sometimes being in the life of a narcissist is about recognizing that your strength is not in changing them, but in remaining unchanged by their dysfunction. There is power in understanding that not everything is about you. The way a narcissist treats you is not a reflection of your value, but a projection of their own wounds. They may never acknowledge your worth, but that doesn't mean you are worthless. They may never appreciate your kindness, but that doesn't mean you should stop being kind. The moment you detach your self-worth from their validation, you reclaim your power. God doesn't place people in easy situations to make them comfortable. He places them in challenging situations to make them stronger, wiser, and more aware. You might be in the life of a narcissist to grow in ways you never expected. Perhaps you are there to learn patience, to develop resilience, to practice forgiveness without enabling toxicity. Maybe you are there to discover the strength of saying no, the power of walking away, or the beauty of unconditional love that doesn't require you to sacrifice yourself. A narcissist's life is often filled with superficial relationships, where people either enable them or abandon them. When someone enters their world with true authenticity, it creates discomfort. They may resist it, reject it, or even resent it. But that doesn't mean your presence is meaningless. Even if they never admit it, even if they never change in front of you, the seed of your influence remains. Some lessons take years to take root. Some transformations happen long after you have left. But every act of genuine love, every moment of grace, and every firm boundary you set serves a purpose greater than you may ever realize. Adversity has a way of shaping us in ways we never anticipated. It pushes us beyond our limits, forces us to confront uncomfortable truths, and ultimately strengthens us in ways that comfort never could. When placed in the life of a narcissist, it can feel like a relentless test of patience, emotional endurance, and self-worth. The challenges that come with this relationship can feel overwhelming, but within these struggles lies an opportunity for profound growth. The pain, confusion, and frustration you experience are not just obstacles. They are lessons in disguise, refining your character and resilience in ways that will serve you for a lifetime. Narcissists operate in a way that makes relationships feel unbalanced. They demand attention, manipulate emotions, and rarely acknowledge the needs of others. Engaging with them can feel like an endless battle where you are always trying to prove your worth or defend your perspective. Over time, this dynamic can wear you down, making you question yourself, your values, and even your reality. However, the very act of enduring this relationship teaches you valuable skills that might otherwise remain underdeveloped. You begin to learn the art of emotional regulation, how to remain calm in the face of provocation, how to detach from unnecessary conflict, and how to prioritize your own peace over the need for validation. Growth through adversity means recognizing the difference between reacting and responding. A narcissist thrives on emotional reactions because it gives them control. They provoke, they gaslight, they distort reality to keep you engaged in their cycle of manipulation. But when you begin to recognize these tactics, you develop the ability to step back and assess situations with clarity. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, you learn to respond with wisdom and composure. This ability extends far beyond your relationship with a narcissist. It equips you for life. It teaches you how to navigate difficult conversations, how to maintain your self-respect in the face of criticism, and how to remain grounded even when others try to shake your confidence. Boundaries become a crucial part of your growth. At first, setting boundaries with a narcissist feels impossible. They push, they guilt trip, they make you feel selfish for prioritizing yourself. But through these struggles, you learn that boundaries are not walls. They are safeguards for your well-being. You begin to understand that saying no is not an act of defiance, but an act of self-preservation. You learn that protecting your energy is not about shutting people out, but about making sure you are surrounded by those who respect and value you. The more you enforce your boundaries, the more confident you become in your own worth. Another critical aspect of growth through adversity is the development of self-awareness. A narcissist has a way of exposing your deepest insecurities. They know how to manipulate your fears, how to use your kindness against you, and how to make you doubt yourself. But in facing these challenges, you are given an opportunity to truly understand yourself. You start to recognize your triggers, your patterns, and the areas where you need healing. You gain insight into why you tolerate certain behaviors, why you seek validation in unhealthy places, and why breaking free from toxic cycles is so important. This self-awareness becomes one of your greatest tools for personal development, allowing you to make better choices, cultivate healthier relationships, and grow into the person you are meant to be. Forgiveness and compassion are also tested in ways you never expected. When dealing with a narcissist, it is easy to feel anger, resentment, and even hatred. They take without giving, hurt without remorse, and leave you feeling drained. But through this struggle, you are given a choice: hold on to the bitterness or rise above it. Learning to forgive does not mean excusing their behavior or allowing continued mistreatment. It means releasing the hold they have on your emotions and choosing peace over resentment. It means understanding that their actions stem from their own pain, their own wounds, and their own fears. This level of compassion is not about them. It is about freeing yourself from the burden of anger and reclaiming your emotional independence. Every painful experience carries within it the seed of transformation. The more you endure, the more you evolve. You develop emotional strength that allows you to withstand hardships without breaking. You cultivate patience that helps you navigate life's uncertainties with grace. You gain wisdom that enables you to recognize toxic patterns and make better choices for yourself. Every difficulty with a narcissist becomes a lesson in resilience, teaching you that your worth is not defined by how others treat you, but by how you rise in the face of adversity. Boundaries are one of the most powerful tools you can develop when dealing with a narcissist. They are not just about keeping someone at a distance, but about preserving your sense of self, your energy, and your emotional well-being. A narcissist thrives on control, manipulation, and the ability to push limits, often making those around them feel guilty for prioritizing their own needs. This is why learning to set and enforce boundaries is not just a necessity. It is a gift, both for yourself and for them. At first, setting boundaries with a narcissist can feel uncomfortable. You may have spent so much time trying to keep the peace, avoiding conflict, and accommodating their demands that the idea of saying a no feels foreign. You may fear their reaction, the silent treatment, the guilt-tripping, or the accusations that you are being selfish or ungrateful. Narcissists are experts at making people feel like their needs do not matter, and they rely on the fact that many people would rather give in than stand their ground. However, every time you allow them to cross a line, they learn that they can keep doing it. They test limits to see how much they can get away with, and the more they succeed, the more they push. Learning to set boundaries means first recognizing where you feel drained, manipulated, or taken advantage of. It means paying attention to the moments when you say yes out of fear rather than genuine willingness. It means noticing when your kindness is being used as a tool for someone else's benefit rather than being reciprocated with respect. Once you identify these patterns, you can start establishing limits, not out of anger or resentment, but out of self-respect. A narcissist will not respect your boundaries immediately. In fact, they may react negatively, seeing your newfound strength as a threat to their control. They may try to guilt you into changing your mind, accusing you of being cold, unloving, or ungrateful. They may even attempt to punish you with silent treatment, passive-aggressive behavior, or emotional outbursts. This is where the real challenge comes in. Setting boundaries is not just about stating them. It is about maintaining them even when someone tries to break them. When you enforce a boundary, you are teaching the narcissist something they are not used to: accountability. You are showing them that their actions have consequences, that they cannot manipulate or guilt-trip their way into getting what they want. You are demonstrating that relationships should be based on mutual respect, not control or exploitation. While they may never fully acknowledge or appreciate your boundaries, they will learn that they cannot continue their behavior without resistance. The process of setting boundaries also reveals a deeper lesson. You are not responsible for fixing or healing a narcissist. Many people stay in toxic relationships because they believe that if they love the narcissist enough, if they are patient enough, if they sacrifice enough, the narcissist will change. But boundaries teach you that true change is not something you can force upon someone else. It has to come from within them, and until they are willing to face their own flaws, no amount of your self-sacrifice will make a difference. Boundaries also give you the freedom to detach emotionally from the chaos a narcissist creates. Instead of constantly trying to defend yourself, explain yourself, or seek their approval, you begin to realize that you do not need to engage in their manipulative games. You can step back, observe their behavior without internalizing it, and choose how much access they have to your life. This shift in perspective is empowering because it reminds you that you are in control of your own emotions and well-being. Perhaps one of the most unexpected gifts of boundaries is that they help you develop deeper self-trust. Every time you enforce a boundary, you are affirming to yourself that your feelings are valid, your needs matter, and you are worthy of respect. You begin to realize that protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. You stop seeking external validation and start valuing your own sense of self-worth. This confidence extends beyond your relationship with a narcissist, shaping how you interact with others in every area of your life. Over time, the more you practice setting and maintaining boundaries, the stronger you become. What once felt uncomfortable becomes second nature. You no longer feel guilty for protecting your energy. You no longer tolerate being manipulated or controlled. You recognize that you have the right to decide who gets access to you and on what terms. And while the narcissist may never change, you do. You grow into a person who no longer bends to the will of others at the cost of your own well-being. You become someone who stands firm in your values, who knows their worth, and who refuses to be diminished by someone else's insecurities. Life often presents us with challenges that seem unfair, confusing, or even painful. One of the most difficult experiences is finding yourself in a relationship with a narcissist. Whether it is a friend, family member, romantic partner, or colleague, the dynamic can feel exhausting and overwhelming. Their need for control, validation, and superiority can leave you questioning your own worth, emotions, and reality. It is natural to wonder why this is happening and what purpose, if any, it serves. But when viewed from a higher perspective, you begin to see that your presence in the life of a narcissist is not random. There is a reason, a lesson, and a greater purpose behind it. A narcissist is often someone who operates from deep-seated wounds, masked by arrogance, manipulation, and an inability to form genuine emotional connections. They see relationships as transactions, as opportunities to fuel their fragile sense of self-worth. They struggle with true intimacy because it requires vulnerability, something they fear and avoid. Instead, they seek admiration, control, and validation to fill an inner void that can never truly be satisfied. When you enter their life, you may become a source of that validation, a person they try to manipulate, or even an emotional target. This can be painful, frustrating, and discouraging. However, looking at it from a different angle, you might realize that your presence is serving a greater role in both your life and theirs. Perhaps you are in their life to model something they have never experienced before: true authenticity, kindness without conditions, or strength without domination. Many narcissists grew up in environments where love was conditional, where their worth was based on performance, achievement, or obedience. They may have never learned what it means to be truly seen, heard, or valued for who they are rather than what they do. When you show up as your true self with honesty, patience, and unwavering integrity, it disrupts the patterns they are used to. Even if they resist it, even if they mock it, something within them is being challenged. You may be the first person to hold up a mirror to show them a different way of relating and to demonstrate that relationships are not meant to be about power, but about connection. At the same time, your presence in their life is not just about them. It is about your own growth as well. Being in a relationship with a narcissist teaches you lessons that nothing else can. It forces you to strengthen your sense of self, to learn how to set boundaries, and to develop emotional resilience. It teaches you to stop seeking validation from those who will never give it freely and to recognize your worth independent of anyone else's approval. You become more aware of your own patterns, your triggers, and the areas where you need healing. Perhaps this experience is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more self-assured than you ever thought possible. One of the most powerful realizations is that you are not responsible for fixing or changing a narcissist. Many people stay in these relationships because they believe they can heal the narcissist if they are patient enough, kind enough, or loving enough. But true change cannot be forced upon someone. A narcissist will only change if and when they are ready to face their own wounds, and that is a journey they must take on their own. Your role is not to rescue them, but to be an example, a presence that plants a seed of awareness, whether they choose to embrace it or not. God does not place you in a narcissist's life to suffer endlessly, but rather to grow, to learn, and perhaps to offer a glimpse of something they have never known. That does not mean tolerating mistreatment or sacrificing yourself for the. It means understanding that every difficult relationship serves a purpose. It means realizing that you are not powerless, that you have a choice in how you respond, and that even the most painful experiences can be transformed into something meaningful. A narcissist's life is often filled with shallow transactional relationships. Many people either enable them or abandon them. When someone enters their world with authenticity and refuses to play their game, it disrupts everything they have built their identity around. They may never admit it, they may resist it, but the presence of truth, kindness, and strength always leaves an impact. Even if they never acknowledge your influence, even if they continue their patterns, something within them has been challenged by your presence. Every interaction, every challenge, every lesson is part of a bigger picture that may not always be visible in the moment. Sometimes you are placed in someone's life not for them to change you, but for you to challenge their worldview, to serve as a lesson, and to ultimately emerge stronger in ways you never expected. The presence of a narcissist in your life is not a punishment, but an opportunity to grow in strength, wisdom, and self-awareness. Self-worth is one of the most crucial lessons you learn when dealing with a narcissist. In their world, everything revolves around control, validation, and power. They operate in ways that diminish the worth of those around them, either through subtle manipulation or outright emotional abuse. Over time, this can lead you to question your own value. You may find yourself seeking their approval, trying to prove your worth, or adjusting your behavior to avoid their criticism. But the deeper truth is that your worth is not determined by how a narcissist treats you. It is something inherent, something that exists regardless of their words, actions, or opinions. A narcissist often projects their insecurities onto others. They build themselves up by tearing others down, making you feel small so they can feel superior. They may dismiss your feelings, invalidate your experiences, or make you doubt your own reality. They do this not because you lack worth, but because they fear losing control. The moment you begin to recognize this, you reclaim your power. You realize that their behavior is not a reflection of your value, but of their own internal struggles. They seek to diminish you because deep down, they are afraid of their own inadequacies. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships with narcissists is believing that if they try hard enough, they can earn love, respect, or appreciation. This belief keeps you trapped in a cycle of seeking validation from someone who will never give it freely. No matter how much you do, no matter how much you sacrifice, a narcissist will always move the goalpost. They will make you feel like you are never enough, not because you aren't, but because they need to maintain control. The moment you stop seeking their approval, you break free from their influence. You start to understand that your worth is not dependent on whether or not they recognize it. Developing self-worth in the presence of a narcissist means learning to separate your identity from their perception of you. It means recognizing that their criticism, manipulation, or gaslighting does not define who you are. It requires you to build a strong sense of self that is not swayed by their attempts to belittle or control you. This is not easy, especially when their words and actions have made you doubt yourself for so long. But the more you focus on your own truth, the stronger you become. You begin to see yourself through your own eyes, rather than through the distorted lens they have forced upon you. Self-worth also means learning to prioritize your own needs and well-being. A narcissist will always put themselves first, and if you are not careful, you will end up neglecting yourself in the process of trying to keep them happy. You may find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, trying to avoid conflict or giving more than you receive. This imbalance can be draining, leaving you feeling depleted and unappreciated. But when you recognize your worth, you stop sacrificing yourself for the sake of someone who does not reciprocate. You begin to set boundaries, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. You understand that you deserve relationships that are built on mutual care, respect, and appreciation. One of the most powerful shifts happens when you stop internalizing the narcissist's behavior. Instead of taking their words personally, you begin to see them for what they are: attempts to control, to manipulate, to keep you within their influence. You stop believing their insults, their put-downs, and their constant need to make you feel inadequate. You realize that their opinion does not define you, and you no longer feel the need to prove yourself to them. This shift is liberating because it allows you to reclaim your identity, your confidence, and your ability to make choices that align with your true self. Healing from a relationship with a narcissist requires you to rebuild your self-worth from the inside out. It means reconnecting with who you are outside of their influence. It means reminding yourself of your strengths, your values, and your purpose. It involves surrounding yourself with people who uplift you rather than drain you, engaging in activities that bring you joy, and practicing self-care in ways that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. The more you invest in yourself, the less power the narcissist has over you. Learning to embrace your self-worth is not just about surviving a relationship with a narcissist. It is about transforming the way you see yourself in every aspect of life. It is about knowing that you are enough, just as you are, without needing to prove it to anyone. It is about recognizing that your value does not decrease because someone else fails to see it. It is about choosing to honor yourself, even when others refuse to. When you reach this point, the narcissist's words and actions no longer have the same effect. You no longer seek their validation because you have already found it within yourself. Letting go of a narcissist is one of the most challenging yet liberating experiences you can go through. These relationships have a way of consuming you, pulling you into cycles of emotional highs and lows, leaving you feeling exhausted, confused, and drained. The attachment to a narcissist is not always based on love, but rather on the illusion of what could be, the hope that they will change, and the deep psychological pull they have created. Walking away is not just about physical distance. It is about freeing yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually from the grip they have on you. A narcissist thrives on control. They use manipulation, guilt, and fear to keep you tied to them. They make you question yourself, making you feel that you are the problem, that you are too sensitive, too emotional, or not enough. They create an environment where you second-guess your own reality, making it difficult to leave because over time you have learned to doubt your own instincts. Recognizing this is the first step to breaking free. Understanding that the way they treat you is not a reflection of your worth, but a projection of their own deep-seated insecurities allows you to take back your power. Letting go does not happen overnight. It is a process of unlearning the beliefs they instilled in you. It means realizing that you are not responsible for their happiness, their anger, or their dysfunction. A narcissist will often try to make you feel guilty for leaving, painting themselves as the victim or attempting to manipulate you into staying. They may alternate between love bombing and cruelty, creating confusion and making you feel as though leaving is the wrong choice. But each time you remind yourself of the reality of the situation, you regain clarity. The love, kindness, and change they promise are often just tools to keep you within their grasp. Breaking free requires setting boundaries that are firm and non-negotiable. A narcissist will test your limits, pushing against them to see if you will bend. They will use every tool they have, manipulation, charm, anger, or even pity, to try to regain control. But the moment you stand firm, refusing to engage, refusing to give them the emotional reaction they crave, they begin to lose their grip on you. Boundaries are not about punishing them, they are about protecting yourself. Whether it is going no contact, limiting interactions, or changing the way you respond, every step you take toward enforcing your boundaries strengthens your ability to reclaim your life. Healing from a narcissistic relationship is not just about leaving. It is about rebuilding. It is about rediscovering who you are outside of their influence. It is about learning to trust yourself again, to believe in your own worth, and to embrace a life that is not dictated by someone else's needs and expectations. Many people experience deep emotional wounds after being in a narcissistic relationship. Self-doubt, feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, and fear of being unlovable. But healing begins the moment you recognize that these feelings were planted by the narcissist to keep you small. They are not the truth. The truth is that you are always enough, always worthy, always capable. Letting go also means releasing the need for closure. A narcissist will rarely give you the closure you seek. They may deny wrongdoing, twist the narrative, or simply disappear without explanation. This can be painful because as humans, we crave understanding and resolution. But waiting for a narcissist to acknowledge the pain they caused is a trap that keeps you emotionally tied to them. True closure comes from within, from deciding that you no longer need their validation to move forward. It comes from choosing to heal even without an apology, even without an explanation. Forgiveness is a concept that many struggle with in the aftermath of a narcissistic relationship. It is important to understand that forgiveness does not mean excusing their behavior or allowing them back into your life. It does not mean pretending the pain did not happen. Forgiveness is about releasing the emotional hold they have over you. It is about freeing yourself from resentment, not for their sake, but for yours. Holding on to anger and bitterness only keeps you connected to them. But when you choose to let go, when you choose to redirect your energy toward your own healing, you take back the power they once had over you. The journey of letting go is not linear. There will be moments of doubt, moments where the pull to return feels overwhelming, moments where you miss the person they pretended to be. But each time you choose yourself, each time you remind yourself of the reality of the situation, you get stronger. You begin to see the relationship for what it was, a lesson, a chapter in your story, but not the definition of your worth. You begin to embrace the freedom that comes with being untangled from their influence. You start to build a life that is rooted in authenticity, self-respect, and peace. And in doing so, you realize that letting go was never about losing them. It was about finding yourself again.